All right, so it looks like we're really diving deep into infidelity this time.
Yeah.
We've got excerpts from Not Just Friends by Shirley P. Glass and Jean Kopic's Day.
Okay.
You really want to figure out how's why is the impacts and what recovery can look like.
Yeah, it's a big one.
This is heavy stuff,
hmm
but we'll break it down and hopefully by the end you'll have some more insights.
It is definitely a roller coaster.
For sure.
But it's interesting. We often focus on the betrayed partner and the one that strayed,
Right,
but the affair partner's perspective is rarely discussed.
right.
And Glass and State point out that their reactions can be really unexpected when the affair comes to light.
Okay, so that's not something I've thought about too much.
Yeah.
What kind of reactions are we talking about?
Well, some affair partners are devastated when the affair comes to light.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they were hoping it would force a decision.
Yeah.
But when it actually happens, they're hit with the reality of the situation, on
Right.
the other hand. Some affair partners welcome the exposure,
Okay.
hoping it'll push the involved partner to choose.
So there's this kind of underlying hope that the affair will lead to a new beginning,
Exactly.
like a chance for the involved partner to leave.
Yeah, and a chance to sort of solidify their bond.
Right.
But here's the thing.
Yeah.
A little reality check.
Okay.
Statistics show that only about 10% of involved partners who leave their marriage for an affair actually end up marrying the affair partner.
Wow. 10%.
It's small.
It's really small.
Yeah.
It makes you think about the position of the affair partner.
Totally.
Not only are they dealing with this fallout and potential loss, but they're often doing it alone.
That's a really good point.
Right.
The affair partner doesn't have the same support system as the betrayed spouse and the involved partner.
Right.
At least those two are going through this together.
Yeah, they have each other to lean on.
Exactly.
It adds another layer of complexity to a really complex situation.
Oh.
Now, shifting to the perspective that we typically hear more about the betrayed partner,
Okay.
let's talk about the trauma of betrayal.
Right.
Glass and Stavey use this really powerful phrase, shattered assumptions.
Yeah, it's so powerful because it really is this idea that infidelity just shatters the very foundation of trust and security in a relationship.
Right.
The betrayed partner is suddenly faced with this realization that the person they thought they knew, the person they built their life with,
Yeah.
isn't who they believe them to be. It's like
Right.
the rug has been pulled out from under them.
And that feeling of, you are not who I thought you were,
Oh, yeah.
must be absolutely devastating.
Devastating. And it's important to remember that the intensity of the reaction can be influenced by individual vulnerabilities.
Okay.
Someone with low self-esteem or past trauma might experience the betrayal even more intensely.
So past experiences play a role in how someone processes this.
Absolutely.
It's not just about the present.
It's not just about right now. It brings up everything.
All those old wounds.
Yeah, it's like if you've already been through a major earthquake, even a minor tremor can send you into a panic.
Yeah.
Those old fears and insecurities come rushing back,
Yeah.
making it even harder to cope.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
And to add to that, Glass and Stary also point out that situational factors
Yes,
can compound the trauma.
for sure.
Like if the infidelity happens during a period of illness or grief.
They give this really powerful example of a woman named Angela,
Okay.
whose husband had an affair after her mother died.
Oh, wow.
Can you imagine the pain of grieving your mother
Oh, my God.
and then discovering your husband has been unfaithful?
Oh.
It's like a double blow.
Yeah.
And it highlights how infidelity doesn't occur in a vacuum.
It really underscores the importance of considering the context.
Totally.
Now, beyond the shattered assumptions,
Yeah.
Glass and Stary also dig into what they call the anatomy of the betrayal.
Okay.
How does the nature of the infidelity impact the trauma?
It's about the layers of deception. A one-night stand, while hurtful,
Yeah.
might be easier to process than a long-term affair,
Right.
especially if it's with someone close to you.
Right.
Imagine finding out your partner has been having an affair with your best friend.
Oh, that's awful.
It violates trust on multiple levels.
Yeah, it's like a betrayal squared.
Exactly.
You're not just dealing with the infidelity itself, but the shattering of other important relationships.
Totally.
And then there's the concept of staggered revelations.
Yes.
Which often comes up in cases of sex addiction.
Right.
Imagine thinking you've gotten the whole truth,
Yeah.
only to discover more pieces of information later on.
Like each time.
Ugh. It's like ripping open a wound that's starting to heal.
It's the worst.
Makes you wonder how anyone could rebuild trust under those circumstances.
Which is why Glass and Stay are such strong advocates for full disclosure.
Mm-hmm.
The betrayed partner needs to know what actually happened to even begin to process and heal.
Right.
It's about establishing a shared reality, a solid foundation on which to rebuild.
So let's say someone is in this incredibly difficult situation.
Okay.
What would be that crucial first step in starting to rebuild safety?
I would say, without a doubt, the most important step is completely cutting off contact with the affair partner,
Okay.
creating that clear separation between the past and the present.
It seems intuitive,
It does.
but I imagine it can be really difficult in practice,
It is.
especially if there are logistical ties like working together or something.
Absolutely. But even seemingly innocent contacts, like a quick email or text,
Right.
can send such mixed signals and make it incredibly hard for the betrayed partner to feel secure.
Right. So really emphasizing that separation.
Exactly. Rebuilding trust is like building a house.
Okay.
You need a stable foundation.
To build that foundation, Glass and Stay also talk about the importance of complete transparency and accountability
Yes.
from the involved partner.
Transparency, huge.
Things like sharing phone bills, being upfront about whereabouts,
All of that.
those are tangible actions that can help rebuild trust.
But it's crucial to understand that they're not magic bullets.
Right.
Rebuilding trust takes consistent effort, patience, and a willingness to be vulnerable from both partners.
It's not a quick fix. It's a long and winding road.
Exactly.
And in those early days and weeks,
Yeah.
while you're working on rebuilding safety,
Mm-hmm.
what are some practical tips for coping with the intense emotions?
First and foremost, prioritize self-care.
Oh.
You've been through a traumatic experience.
Yep.
You need time and space to process, to grieve, and to take care of yourself emotionally and physically.
Right.
It's not selfish. It's essential.
Yeah, for sure.
And remember, healing from trauma isn't a solo mission.
Right.
Having a support system, people you can talk to who offer a listening ear and different perspectives,
Yeah.
can make all the difference.
So surrounding yourself with a strong support network is key.
It is.
Now, I'm curious about how couples can even begin to communicate effectively after such a breach of trust.
That's where Glass and Stady's concept of structured communication comes in. It's about acknowledging that some questions need answers immediately, while others might be better addressed later on, when there's more emotional stability.
It makes sense that trying to tackle every single issue right away could be overwhelming.
Totally overwhelming, especially in the early stages.
Now, for the million-dollar question,
Yeah.
that's probably swirling in a lot of listeners' minds.
Mm-hmm.
Stay or leave?
Right.
How do you even begin to make such a monumental decision after infidelity?
It's a question with no easy answers.
Yeah,
Glass and State acknowledge just how agonizing it can be.
for sure.
They offer a tool called the ambivalence barometer to help you kind of visualize where the involved partner's loyalties lie.
Okay. A barometer measuring ambivalence.
Yeah.
Tell me more about this. Imagine a house
Okay.
with walls and windows.
All right.
Are the walls up high and strong with the affair partner while the windows are wide open to the marriage?
Okay.
Or vice versa?
I see.
This visual can help individuals understand their own feelings and motivations. So it's not just about choosing one person over the other.
Right.
It's about assessing the strength of each connection.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
there can be so much ambivalence on both sides.
Yeah.
The involved partner might be terrified of hurting both people, or they might be caught up in this idealized version of the affair, comparing it to the everyday reality of their marriage.
Right. Like it's all sunshine and roses over there.
Exactly.
And the betrayed partner, I imagine it's this constant push and pull between wanting to save the marriage and the fear of being hurt again.
It's just heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And Glass and State caution against making hasty decisions.
Right?
They urge couples to give themselves at least 3 months to process before deciding whether to stay or leave.
3 months is a significant amount of time.
It is.
It sounds like the idea is to avoid making decisions in the heat of the moment.
Exactly, when emotions are running high.
When everything's heightened.
Right. You don't want to make a decision you regret.
And to help navigate those conflicting feelings.
Yes.
They introduce the head, heart, gut, groin test.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Break this down for me.
It's about engaging all aspects of yourself in the decision-making process.
Head, heart, gut, and groin.
Yeah. Your head represents logic and reason.
Okay.
Ask yourself, what are the practical implications of staying or leaving?
Mm-hmm.
What are the long-term consequences?
So really thinking long-term, not just in the moment.
Exactly. What about the heart?
Okay, so the heart.
Your heart is all about emotions.
Okay.
What do I truly feel? Am I still in love? Can I
Big
forgive?
questions.
Yeah.
What about the gut?
Your gut is your intuition,
Okay.
your inner knowing.
Mm-hmm.
What does my gut tell me about this relationship?
Right.
Deep down, do I believe it can be salvaged?
Okay, trusting your instincts.
Yeah.
And finally, the groin.
All right, so this one's a little more tricky.
Yeah, I'm guessing this is about physical attraction and sexual desire.
You got it.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
about acknowledging the role that physical chemistry plays in a relationship.
Right.
Ask yourself, is there still a spark? Is the sexual connection worth fighting for?
Okay.
Ignoring this aspect would be a mistake.
This test seems like a really helpful way to sort through all those messy, conflicting feelings.
It can be helpful.
But what happens after those initial 3 months and the
Yeah.
decision still feels murky?
Yeah.
What if that ambivalence lingers?
Glass and State emphasize that ambivalence is normal.
Okay.
It's not a sign of weakness or indecision,
Right.
but rather a natural part of the process.
Okay.
Feelings can shift dramatically in those early months.
So it's not necessarily a straight line
Not at all.
from betrayal to decision.
One day you might feel certain you want to leave,
Yeah.
and the next you're flooded with memories of the good times, those glimmers of hope for a shared future.
And during this period of uncertainty, what's the one thing they caution against?
They strongly advise against what they call the stable triangle.
Okay.
It's where the involved partner tries to maintain both relationships,
Oh, wow.
essentially stringing everyone along.
I can see why they would discourage that.
Oh, yeah.
What are some of the repercussions of trying to maintain that?
Well, it creates this environment of tension, secrecy, and conflicting loyalties.
Yeah.
It's just a recipe for more pain and confusion for everyone involved, especially any children.
Right.
Kids are incredibly perceptive.
They are.
And even if they don't know the details, they can sense the underlying instability and the emotional turmoil.
So even if the intention is to protect the children,
Yeah,
this type of situation might actually be more harmful in the long run.
absolutely. It's about recognizing that children thrive in environments where there's clarity, stability, and emotional honesty.
Now, as the dust settles, are there any additional questions that can help guide this decision-making process?
Glass and State encourage envisioning the future, both
Okay.
with and without your spouse.
Okay.
What does life look like in each scenario?
Mm-hmm.
They also suggest recalling the good times,
Yeah.
not to romanticize the past,
Right.
but to assess whether there's a foundation worth saving.
So it's about taking a holistic view,
Exactly.
looking at both the good and the bad, the past and the potential future.
And it's also crucial to assess compatibility.
Right.
Do your values align?
Mm-hmm.
Do you share similar goals and aspirations? These questions can help you determine whether you're truly on the same page.
And even if the decision is to rebuild,
Yeah.
what are some of the lingering challenges couples might face on the road to recovery?
Even with the best intentions, post-traumatic reactions can linger for months or even years.
Right.
Glass and State describe 3 categories:
Okay.
intrusion, constriction, and hyperarousal.
Let's break those down.
Okay.
What does intrusion look like in this context?
Intrusion involves those intrusive thoughts.
Okay.
The flashbacks, the nightmares.
Yeah.
It's like the betrayal keeps replaying in your mind even when you're trying to move on.
It sounds incredibly distressing.
It is.
And what about constriction?
Constriction is about numbing, withdrawal, shutting down emotionally. It's like a defense mechanism, a way to protect yourself from further pain.
So it's like emotionally going into hiding.
Exactly.
Hyperarousal.
Hyperarousal is characterized by hypervigilance, always being on edge. It's like your nervous system is stuck in overdrive,
Okay.
constantly scanning for threats,
Yeah.
even when the immediate danger has passed.
These reactions sound incredibly challenging to deal with,
They are.
especially while trying to rebuild trust and intimacy.
They absolutely are. And it's important to remember that healing from trauma takes time. There will
Yeah.
be ups and downs, moments of progress and moments of regression.
So what are some practical strategies for coping with these post-traumatic reactions?
There are many tools that can help.
Uh-huh.
Journaling can be a powerful way to process those intrusive thoughts and feelings.
Mhm.
Creating new positive experiences can help counteract the numbing and withdrawal of constriction.
So it's like intentionally injecting joy and connection back into your life.
Exactly. What about hyperarousal? What strategies are helpful for managing that constant state of anxiety? Practicing self-soothing techniques like
Right.
deep breathing meditation or mindfulness can be incredibly beneficial.
Right.
It's about learning to regulate your nervous system and bring yourself back to a state of calm.
So we've explored the initial trauma, the agonizing decision of whether to stay or leave, and the potential for these lingering post-traumatic reactions.
Yeah.
Let's shift gears now
Okay.
and focus on the possibility of rebuilding.
I like it.
What are some of the key principles
Yeah.
that Glass and Stay emphasize when it comes to repairing the relationship and fostering goodwill?
They introduce this concept of a reservoir of goodwill,
Okay.
which is essentially the emotional bank account of the relationship.
I like that analogy.
Yeah. So all those positive interactions, caring gestures, and moments of connection make deposits into that account.
Oh.
But when infidelity happens, it's
Yeah.
like making a massive withdrawal.
Wiping it out.
Yeah. And so the goal is to start making deposits again, to replenish that depleted reservoir.
So to get back in the black.
Exactly. And it's not about grand romantic gestures.
Okay.
It's about those small, everyday acts of kindness that demonstrate love and respect.
Those little things
Yeah.
can go a long way.
Can you give us some examples of what those small acts of caring might look like? Think about the things your partner truly appreciates.
Yeah.
It could be as simple as bringing them a cup of coffee in the morning,
Okay.
offering a back rub after a long day, or just truly listening when they're talking.
So paying attention to their needs.
Exactly, and finding ways to meet them,
Even in small ways.
even in small ways.
And it's not just about doing those things, but also about expressing appreciation,
Yes.
noticing and acknowledging those efforts.
Exactly. It's like saying, I see you, I appreciate what you're doing.
But what if it feels difficult to express appreciation,
Yeah.
especially in the early stages of rebuilding?
It's completely understandable. It
Yep.
takes time to heal.
Right.
And those feelings of hurt and resentment can linger.
Mm-hmm.
But even if you don't feel it right away, try to make a conscious effort to focus on the positive.
So actively combating that negativity bias.
Exactly. Every time you express gratitude,
Mm.
every time you acknowledge your partner's efforts,
Yeah.
you're making a deposit into that emotional bank account.
Intentionally shifting your focus.
Yeah.
Looking for the good.
Instead of dwelling on the bad.
Now, to help couples get back on track with caring,
Yes.
what are some of the concrete exercises
Oh, yeah.
that Glass and Stay recommend?
They offer 2 exercises, What Pleases Me About You
Okay.
and the Newlywed Game.
I love the sound of these already.
Yeah.
Let's start with what pleases me about you.
Okay.
How does that one work?
It's pretty straightforward. Each partner makes a list of specific actions and qualities that make them feel loved and appreciated.
Okay.
Then you share those lists with each other.
So getting beyond assumptions
Yeah.
and clearly communicating what matters.
Exactly. And the Newlywed Game.
All right, so that one sounds intriguing.
This one is all about playful guessing.
Okay,
Each partner tries to guess what's on the other's What Pleases Me About You list.
I see.
It's a lighthearted way to see how well you know each other, identify any blind spots, and get some fresh ideas for showing love and appreciation.
These exercises seem like a great way to inject some fun and positive energy
Yes.
into this rebuilding process.
Absolutely.
But even with the best intentions,
Yeah.
I imagine there could be resistance to caring, especially after infidelity.
Oh, for sure.
What does that resistance typically look like?
It can manifest in different ways.
Okay.
It might be an unwillingness to please your partner, a tendency to discount their efforts,
Mm-hmm.
or a reluctance to receive those caring gestures without skepticism or suspicion.
So putting up walls, protecting yourself from potential further hurt.
Exactly. And those walls are often built from fear.
Right.
The involved partner might be afraid of appearing too committed, while the betrayed partner might fear that accepting caring gestures equals forgiving the betrayal.
It's a really delicate dance navigating those fears and insecurities,
It is.
while also trying to rebuild trust.
How do you recommend couples approach this resistance? Glass and Stay suggests starting small.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be a grand gesture.
Right.
Just noticing and commenting on those small acts of caring, even if you don't feel like reciprocating right away, can be a powerful first step.
Like dipping your toe back into the water.
Works,
Testing the temperature before diving in head first.
Yeah, building momentum, sometimes simply acknowledging the effort,
Mm-hmm.
saying, I noticed you did the dishes, or thank you for calling when you were going to be late,
Okay.
can create a ripple effect.
It's like planting a seed,
Yeah,
hoping it will blossom into something stronger.
exactly.
Now, we've talked extensively about rebuilding goodwill through these caring actions. But what about the role of communication in this whole healing process?
Communication is essential. In fact, Glass and Stay dedicate a significant portion of their book to what they call compassionate communication.
Mhm.
It's about using language to create a deeper connection, to foster understanding and empathy,
Right.
even when discussing difficult topics.
It sounds like a complete paradigm shift
It is.
from the blaming and defensiveness that often characterizes communication after infidelity.
It really is.
So how do you make that shift?
They provide 4 powerful tools to help couples make this shift.
Okay, I'm all ears. What's the first tool?
The first tool is all about inhibition.
Okay,
Think of it as putting a filter on your words before they come out.
so being mindful of how our words impact the other person.
Exactly, especially when emotions are running high.
When it's so easy to say the wrong thing.
If your goal is to truly connect with your partner to help them understand your perspective,
Yeah.
then it's crucial to inhibit those knee-jerk reactions, those angry outbursts, and those cutting remarks.
So it's not about suppressing your feelings entirely.
No, it's about choosing your words carefully.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing that even when you're hurting, even when you're angry,
Yeah.
there's a way to communicate those feelings without inflicting further pain.
So learning a new language.
Exactly the language of compassion and understanding.
Now, what's the second tool for compassionate communication?
The second tool is about inhibiting negative cycling.
Okay.
That tendency to get caught in a back and forth of negativity,
Right.
where one person's criticism or complaint triggers a defensive response from the other, and it just escalates from there.
Yeah, like a downward spiral.
Exactly. And it's incredibly toxic to relationships.
For sure.
To break free from that cycle, it's crucial to become aware of your own patterns, to recognize when you're getting sucked into that negativity,
Right.
and to make a conscious choice to respond differently.
So interrupting that automatic reaction
Yeah,
and choosing a more constructive response.
exactly.
How do you suggest couples do that?
One way is by providing support without resorting to empty reassurances. Instead of saying, "Don't worry, it'll be fine," which can actually feel dismissive,
Right.
try validating your partner's feelings.
Yeah.
Say something like, "I understand why you're upset. Anyone would feel that way."
So acknowledging their pain without trying to minimize it or fix it.
Exactly. It's about acknowledging the pain without trying to fix it or minimize it.
It's about empathy, really stepping into your partner's shoes and trying to see the situation from their perspective.
Exactly. And Glass and Stay say that empathy is one of the most crucial ingredients
Yeah,
for successful recovery after infidelity.
makes sense.
It's about understanding the impact of your actions, the pain you've caused,
Right.
and being able to hold space for your partner's emotions, even when they're difficult.
And that can be tough,
It can be.
especially for the involved partner who's carrying a lot of guilt and shame.
Yes.
It could feel easier to deflect, to minimize, or to try and move on quickly.
Right.
But that's not going to help rebuild trust.
You're absolutely right. Empathy requires vulnerability, a willingness to sit with discomfort,
Yeah.
to truly listen, and to try to understand the other person's experience, even if it's different from your own.
So we've talked about inhibiting those negative reactions and providing genuine support.
Yes.
What about when it's time to actually talk about the infidelity?
Right.
How do you have those difficult conversations without spiraling into blame and defensiveness?
Glass and Steck will call this creating an empathic process.
Right.
It's about approaching those conversations with curiosity and compassion, with a genuine desire to understand the hows and whys of what happened.
It sounds like a completely different mindset
It is.
than the typical interrogation or blame game that often happens after infidelity.
It's not about pointing fingers.
Right.
It's about creating a safe space to explore those deeper issues and vulnerabilities that led to the affair.
Can you give us an example of what this empathic process might look like in practice?
They give this example of a couple navigating the unfaithful partner attending a work function.
Okay. Where the affair partner will be present.
Oh, wow, that's a tough one.
Yeah, and the first attempt at communication is all about control and ultimatums.
Okay.
I don't want you going. I have to go.
Right.
But then they shift into a more collaborative approach.
So they move away from demands and ultimatums.
Exactly.
And toward a more understanding and cooperative approach.
Yeah, what does that shift look like?
Yeah, what does that look like?
They start asking questions like, what would it be like for you if I went?
Okay.
And is there anything I could do to make it easier? They're acknowledging the other person's feelings and working together to find a solution that feels safe for both of them.
So instead of being adversaries,
Yeah,
they're becoming allies,
exactly.
united against the problem rather than against each other.
And that's the key.
That's huge.
When you can approach infidelity as a shared challenge, as something you're facing together,
Right.
it creates a much stronger foundation for healing and growth.
No, delving into the meaning of the affair.
You can't just focus on the affair itself.
You can't.
It's crucial to understand the context.
The story of the marriage.
Right, the story of the marriage. What were the vulnerabilities, the unmet needs?
The communication breakdowns.
Right, that created a space for infidelity to occur.
That's a great way to put it.
And this is where compassionate communication becomes even more vital.
Yeah.
It's about having those tough conversations, but doing so with empathy.
Yeah.
And a genuine desire to understand each other's perspectives.
Absolutely.
And this is where things can get tricky.
Oh.
It's easy to fall into blame, defensiveness, and justification.
So easy.
But Glassen's statements provide some guidelines for navigating these conversations constructively.
They do.
What are those guidelines?
They emphasize the importance of using I statements.
Okay.
Focusing on your own feelings and experiences rather than accusing or blaming your partner. Instead of saying, you made me feel,
Right.
try saying I felt, or when you did this, I experienced.
So taking ownership of your own emotions without making your partner responsible for them.
Exactly. It's a subtle shift.
Yeah.
But it can make a big difference in how those conversations unfold.
And they also talk about the importance of active listening.
Oh, yeah.
Truly hearing and understanding what your partner's saying, even if you don't agree with it.
It's about putting aside your own defenses for a moment.
Right.
And trying to see the world through their eyes.
Validating their feelings.
Reflecting back what you're hearing and asking clarifying questions to make sure you understand.
Okay.
It's not about agreeing, it's about empathizing.
It sounds like active listening is a crucial skill, not just in recovering from infidelity,
Totally.
but in any relationship.
For sure, communication is key.
Now focusing on the future
Okay.
instead of dwelling on the past.
Right.
How can couples start to envision the kind of relationship
Yeah.
they want to create moving forward?
Glass and Stay encourage couples to shift their focus from what went wrong to what's possible. It's about setting goals, making commitments, and taking action to build a stronger, healthier relationship.
So it's not just about repairing the damage,
No.
but about intentionally designing a new and improved version of the relationship.
Exactly. And this is where hope comes into play.
Okay.
It's about believing that even though the relationship has been through this major crisis, there's still potential for growth and transformation.
So to recap what we've learned from Glass and Stay,
Okay.
infidelity is a deeply traumatic experience.
Yes.
Shattering assumptions and eroding trust.
It really does.
Rebuilding safety requires complete transparency,
Yes.
accountability, and cutting off contact with the affair partner.
That's key.
And compassionate communication is essential for navigating those difficult conversations and fostering empathy.
Absolutely.
But here's the thing. Glass and Stay leave us with a really powerful reminder.
Yeah.
Healing doesn't mean forgetting.
Such an important point. The scar might always be there,
Right.
but it doesn't have to define you. Whether you choose to rebuild the relationship or to move on, the journey of self-discovery and healing is invaluable.
It sounds like regardless of the outcome,
Yeah,
there's an opportunity for personal growth and transformation.
absolutely.
Now, for anyone listening who might be feeling overwhelmed or unsure where to turn, what advice would you offer?
Seeking professional guidance can be incredibly helpful.
Okay.
There are therapists who specialize in infidelity recovery,
Right.
who can provide support and strategies tailored to your unique situation.
So finding someone who understands the complexities
Yes, and the nuances.
of this specific situation.
Exactly. It's not a one-size-fits-all approach.
It's a reminder that you don't have to go through this alone.
You don't.
There are resources and support systems available
There are.
to help navigate this challenging terrain.
And remember, you're not alone.
Yeah.
Many couples have navigated this challenging terrain and come out the other side stronger, wiser, and with a deeper understanding of themselves and their relationship.
That's encouraging.
It is.
Infidelity is a complex and painful experience,
It is.
but it doesn't have to be the end of the story.
It doesn't.
There is hope,
Yeah.
there is healing, and there is the possibility of a brighter future,
There is.
whether that's together or apart.
Exactly. And this is where hope comes into play.
Okay.
It's about believing that even though the relationship has been through this major crisis, there's still potential for growth and transformation.
So it's not just about repairing the damage. It's about
it's-
intentionally designing a new and improved version of the relationship.
You got it.
So to recap what we've learned from Glass and Stave,
Okay.
infidelity is a deeply traumatic experience, shattering assumptions and eroding trust. Rebuilding safety requires complete transparency, accountability, and cutting off contact with the affair partner and compassionate communication is essential for navigating those difficult conversations and fostering empathy. But here's the thing. Glass and Staley leave us with a powerful reminder.
Yeah, what's that?
Healing doesn't mean forgetting.
That's so important. The scar might always be there, but it doesn't have to define you.
Right.
Whether you choose to rebuild the relationship or to move on the journey of self-discovery and healing is invaluable.
It sounds like, regardless of the outcome, there's an opportunity for personal growth and transformation.
Absolutely.
Now, for anyone listening who might be feeling overwhelmed or unsure where to turn, what advice would you offer?
Seeking professional guidance can be incredibly helpful. There are therapists who specialize in infidelity recovery who can provide support and strategies tailored to your unique situation.
It's a reminder that you don't have to go through this alone. There are resources and support systems available to help you navigate this challenging terrain.
And remember, you're not alone. Many couples have navigated this challenging terrain and come out the other side stronger, wiser, and with a deeper understanding of themselves and their relationship.
Infidelity is a complex and painful experience, but it doesn't have to be the end of the story. There is hope, there is healing, and there's the possibility of a brighter future, whether that's together or apart.